you have already stopped to think that the heart of an elderly person may be literally begging for help, and no one notices? The truth is that many men and women over 60 are living with their hearts on the edge of a collapse, and the signs are so silent, so discreet that they are confused with simple tiredness of age. But beware, the body gives alerts, clear symptoms that something is wrong, and ignoring these signs can be fatal. Heart failure in the elderly is a major cause of hospitalization and death in old age people. The problem is that many of these symptoms are ignored, treated as something normal of aging, such as that shortness of breath as it climbs a stairs or the swelling that appears at the end of the day. But this is not normal. It's dangerous. It is a body warning that the heart may be starting to fail. If you have a father, mother, grandfather, or grandmother over 60, or if you have been over 50 and feel that your health is no longer the same, this video may be the most important information you will receive today. We are not talking about any fright. We are talking about the real possibility of cardiac arrest in older people, something that can happen suddenly, without warning, but almost always gives evidence before it happens. The problem is that no one teaches how to identify them, and that's exactly what you will find out here. The 7 signs that the heart of an elderly man is starting to stop. 7 signs that, if recognized in time, can mean the difference between living and dying. Best of all, you don't have to be a doctor to understand. Just watch carefully and act responsibly. But first, I want to make you reflect. Would you know how to identify a symptom of heart failure on someone in your family? Or would you think it's just age coming? What's more, did you know that symptoms such as swelling in the legs, extreme tiredness, difficulty breathing, and even mental confusion can be directly linked to a heart that is ceasing to work properly? Many people associate heart problems only with chest pain, but in the elderly, the signs of heart failure are quite different. They slowly appear, as if they were isolated problems, and when we perceive the connection, it can be too late. Therefore, it is essential that you understand how the heart of an elderly behaves when it begins to fail. And if you think this has nothing to do with you, think again. The heart is one of the organs that suffers most from time, stress, poor diet, and physical inactivity. And in old age, any imbalance can accelerate wear, but the body always warns. The question is, are you listening? If you want to protect who you love or take care of your own health more consciously, pay close attention to what comes next, because the next few minutes can reveal you truths that many people prefer to ignore. And maybe for the first time you will understand that weakness on your legs, that dizziness without explanation, or that tightness in the chest at night can be more than simple discomfort. Stay with me until the end, because now you will find out what these 7 silent signs really mean the health of the heart of an elderly. And I'll advance you already. What you will hear next can completely change the way you see the common symptoms of old age, because it's not always age coming. It is often the heart shouting for help. And now, before continuing, I need to ask you something very important. Comment down here if you have been through any similar situation, if someone in your family has any of these symptoms, or even if you are watching this video for worry about your own health. Your comment is more than an exchange. It can encourage others to pay attention to the signs of the body. It may be the push that someone needed to make an appointment, to change a habit, to save a life. By the way, if this content has already impacted you in any way, leave the like here now. This shows YouTube that this video is relevant and helps it get to more people. People who may be exactly like you, worried, looking for answers, wanting to understand what is happening to your body, or someone you love. You may be helping someone just with this simple gesture. And of course, you subscribe to the channel and activate Tininho, because here you will find videos like this every week, with health alerts, practical information, simple and direct language. Content made to help you live longer and better, without whining, without fear, responsibility, and conscience. Now yes, let's go straight to the first sign that an elderly woman's heart is starting to stop. Pay close attention, because it can be easy to ignore, but that is exactly where the danger lives. Oh, no stop out of nowhere. He gives signs, he warns, but these warnings do not always come in the form of chest pain or dramatic infarction, as we see in soap operas or movies. In real life, heart failure begins in a subtle, almost imperceptible way. With the natural aging of the body, the heart loses part of its pumping force. It gets rigid, less efficient, and needs to work bent to keep the blood circulating to all organs. And when it begins to fail, the body tries to compensate in many ways, and that's where such silent symptoms arise. But here's the big problem. These signs, which should serve as red alerts, are often confused with simple consequences of age. The elderly feels tired and soon thinks it's normal for being old. He feels a little short of breath and believes it is because he is out of shape. Feel the legs swollen at the end of the day and attribute it to the heat or time up. But what if I told you that all these symptoms can be the beginning of heart failure, and that this bankruptcy can get worse every week each day if nothing is done? The truth is that most people are unaware that there is a difference between aging healthily and simply accepting everything as part of the age of age. But accepting these signs without investigating is like ignoring a car that starts to fail the engine. 1 hour, it will stop. The same happens with the heart. And that's why this video is so important, because it shows you what almost no one says, because it breaks this cycle of ignorance and gives you real information clearly and objectively. Now think to me. How many times have you heard someone older complain of tiredness? Say that you wake up without disposition, or do you need to stop by walking? How many times have you seen a person in your family sigh deep as if the air wasn't enough? And did you think it was just anxiety or discouragement? What if this is the heart saying it is exhausted? What are you not able to do your work right? Do you prefer to believe that it is just something fleeting? Or do you prefer to understand what is behind these symptoms and act before it's too late? It is no exaggeration to say that thousands of people die every year because they do not take these small signs seriously. And the saddest, many of these deaths could be avoided with a simple examination, a visit to the cardiologist with a change of routine. Medicine has evolved, the exams are increasingly accessible, but still fear, prejudice, or lack of information remain the greatest villains of the elderly health. And here is a fact that may be surprised. One of the biggest risk factors for heart failure is physical inactivity. And who usually moves less? Exactly, the elderly. Lack of physical activity reduces cardiovascular conditioning, weakens the muscles, and accelerates heart wear. Another factor that greatly aggravates this picture is poorly controlled hypertension, which is extremely common after age 60. High pressure forces the heart to work more intensely, which causes a thickening of the heart walls and, over time, leads to the bankruptcy of the cardiac pump. And when the person also has diabetes, high cholesterol, overweight, or has had a previous heart problem, the risk doubles, triple. The heart begins to lose the ability to pump blood efficiently, and this affects everything: the brain, the kidneys, the liver, the muscles. Therefore, it is common for the elderly to begin to have mental confusion, dizziness, loss of appetite, discouragement, and even depression. But you see, none of this is normal of age. Everything has an explanation, and most of the time, the heart is at the center of this collapse. Are you starting to realize the severity of this? Do you understand why this video needs to be watched until the end, shared, discussed with the family? Because what we will reveal now, the 7 most common signs that the heart of an elderly man is bankrupt, not just informative content. It is a form of prevention. It is a way of saving lives. Often simply recognizing one of these symptoms early may be enough to avoid hospitalization, surgery, or even a tragedy. And I want you to go beyond just watching. I want you to reflect. May you think of your father, your mother, your uncle, that old neighbor who lives alone, and even in you, if it's over 50 and feels that the body is no longer the same. Because the sooner we identify a problem, the greater the chances of treatment, reversal, a long and quality life. I know that sometimes it is easier to close my eyes, pretend it is not happening, but the price of this choice can be too high. Therefore, pay attention, because from now on I will show you one by one the most dangerous signs that the heart of an elderly may be failing, and how you can recognize each one of them. And look, maybe you are surprised by the second sign. He is one of the most ignored of all, but it may be the deadliest. And before following, I want to ask you something very simple but extremely important. Comment down here if you have observed any of these symptoms on you or someone close. You can write, "I've felt it," or "I'll be more attentive now." Any phrase that connects you with this content. This helps me understand how much this information is making sense to you. And it also helps the video get to more people who need to know that. Your comment may be the push someone else needed to change your life story. Now you already understood the seriousness of the situation. It's time to go straight to the point. I need you to pay attention to every detail of what I will say from now on, because, as I already explained to you, the signs that the heart of an elderly is failing, they do not appear at once. They arise gradually, hide in symptoms that seem harmless, and if you do not know how to identify, it may be too late. And the first sign is so common that it honestly scares. The first symptom that deserves all your attention is extreme fatigue for no apparent reason. It is not that common tiredness after a walk or a sleepless night. It is a kind of exhaustion that comes even after simple everyday activities, such as brushing your teeth, climbing a few steps, or just bathing. The person feels without strength, as if the body was being drained. This is because the heart, already weakened, cannot pump blood efficiently, and the muscles do not receive sufficient oxygen. Result? The body turns off, the energy disappears, and then many say, it's age. But it is not. It is the heart sending a clear warning sign. If this tiredness has been increasing over time, don't ignore it. The second sign is swelling in the feet, ankles, or legs, which appears mainly at the end of the day. Many people think this is linked only to poor circulation or heat, but what few know is that this accumulation of liquid can be caused by a heart that can no longer send blood back efficiently. When this happens, blood begins to accumulate at the ends. Worse, this swelling can evolve and affect to the abdomen, generating discomfort, weight sensation, and even difficulty eating. This type of liquid retention is one of the main symptoms of congestive heart failure, and if you noticed that the swelling has become routine, or if it is getting worse, light the red light, because the heart is shouting for help. The third symptom that requires surveillance is the shortness of breath, especially when it appears at times when the person is at rest or lying down. When the lack of air comes after physical effort, it is already worrying. But when the elderly need to sit at night, support pillows to breathe better, or wake up with a feeling of suffocation, this is a sign that the liquid is accumulating in the lungs. And that, my friend, is not a simple cold. It is the heart failing. The feeling that air does not enter properly, or breathless no reason, is a classic sign that the cardiovascular system is collapsing. Sometimes the old man doesn't even realize how panting he is, but who lives with him note. Now let's go to the fourth symptom, which connects directly to the previous one: persistent cough or wheezing. This sign, when it occurs continuously, without associated influenza or cold, may be indicating liquid accumulation in the lungs. The heart does not pump properly. The blood comes back and shatters the pulmonary alveoli, causing this constant, usually worse at night. In some cases, this cough is accompanied by foam phlegm, sometimes even with traces of blood. And the most cruel of this is that many seniors treat this with syrups thinking it's bronchitis, allergy, when in fact the problem is much more serious. Once again, the body speaks. We need to learn to listen. The fifth sign is perhaps one of the most treacherous: mental confusion or sudden memory lapses. When the heart is weak, it cannot send enough blood to the brain. And what happens when the brain receives little oxygen? The person begins to get lost in words, forgets commitments, exchanges names, confuses with simple tasks, loses the notion of time. In more severe cases, the elderly may seem disoriented, as if it were out of the air. This symptom is often confused with the first signs of dementia or Alzheimer's, but the cause can be purely cardiac. If you noticed that someone close started to present these cognitive failures suddenly or progressively, take it seriously. The brain is asking for help, and the culprit may be in the chest. Now we reach the sixth sign: irregular or accelerated heartbeat. Using the heart seems to be jumping in the chest, or beating unzipped, accelerated for no reason. This is called arrhythmia, and when arrhythmia appears in the elderly, especially without apparent cause, it may indicate that the heart is suffering to maintain the pace. Atrial fibrillation, for example, is one of the most common and dangerous arrhythmias in this age group. It increases the risk of stroke, and may be the foreshadowing of a cardiac arrest. Sometimes this symptom comes with cold sweat, sudden anxiety, or even a feeling that something is wrong. And the mistake is not to hear this call. And the seventh and last sign that you need to be aware of is the most serious of all: fainting or frequent dizziness. This is a symptom that is often treated with disdain, as if it were just a pressure drop. But when the episodes of dizziness become constant, when the person reports that everything is turning or even loses consciousness for seconds, this can be a direct sign that the brain is not receiving enough blood. And who runs this distribution? The heart. A fainting can be caused by severe arrhythmia, acute cardiac bomb bankruptcy, or an electric block that prevents the heart from beating properly. It's as if, for a moment, everything turned off, and the danger is real, because this shutdown can come back and not reconnect. Now that you know these 7 signs more deeply, I want to invite you to reflect. How many of these symptoms have you seen in someone in your family? How many have you felt yourself, but let it pass? Don't let this information die here. It needs to circulate. You need to reach more people. You need to save lives. And so I want to ask you a favor. Comments down if any of these symptoms caught your attention, if you have gone through something like, or if you know someone who needs to watch this urgent video. You can write something like, "I've felt it," or "I'll be more aware of my health." This is not just a comment. It is a gesture of responsibility. It's your way of saying, "I'm aware, I care, I want to live in health." Now that you know the 7 most dangerous signs that an elderly heart may be failing, the inevitable question is, what is behind all this? Why does the body begin to react this way? Why suddenly a simple walk becomes immense effort? The breath disappears, the fatigue dominates, the feet swell, the reasoning fails, and the heart fires as if fighting something invisible. What is behind these symptoms is not mystery, not bad luck, much less fate. The name of this is heart failure, and understanding how it settles is the first step to prevent it from becoming irreversible. Heart failure happens when the heart loses the ability to pump the blood with the strength necessary to supply the entire body. He keeps beating, yes, but not with the efficiency of before. Imagine an engine that slowly weakens. It still works, but with loss of yield, and begins to warm too much, consume more fuel, and give signs of failure. The heart acts in the same way. When it starts to fail, the whole body feels. And the symptoms you have seen before are exactly the reflection of this internal collapse, this progressive wear and tear that, if not identified and treated in time, can lead to total stoppage. And what causes this heart failure? The answer involves a combination of risk factors that are common, silent, and often neglected, especially among the elderly. One of the most dangerous is poorly controlled arterial hypertension. High blood pressure makes the heart need to work against greater resistance. It pumps the blood harder, more pressure, and this continuous effort ends up thickening the walls of the heart, a process called cardiac hypertrophy. Over time, this heart is rigid, loses elasticity, and this impairs its ability to fill and empty properly. It's like trying to inflate a dry bladder. It does not expand properly, and the airflow does not happen as it should. The blood does not circulate as before, and it all starts to argue. Another silent enemy is diabetes. Many people have no idea how high blood sugar can assault the cardiovascular system. Excess glucose damages the walls of blood vessels, weakens the arteries, and favors the formation of plates. In addition, it directly interferes with the function of the heart and the kidneys, which are deeply connected organs. An elderly with poorly controlled diabetes has much greater chances of developing heart disease, even if it has no symptoms in the early years. The big mistake is to think that just because the exam gave a little altered, everything is fine. It is not. Each small change, when repeated over time, will charge its price, and this price, unfortunately, can be life itself. Other very important and widely ignored factor is high cholesterol. When bad cholesterol, LDL, accumulates in the arteries, it forms plates that reduce the space through which blood circulates. This narrowing increases pressure, decreases flow, and can lead to partial or total blockages. When this happens in the arteries of the heart, we have the famous angina or even the heart attack. And even without infarction, these obstructions impair tissue oxygenation and force the heart to adapt, work harder, beat faster. But this effort, contrary to popular belief, does not strengthen the heart. It destroys. An overloaded heart is a fatigued heart that begins to fail, and this cycle is silent, dangerous, and unfortunately, common. But it doesn't stop there. There is an almost invisible villain that contributes directly to this catastrophic scenario: physical inactivity. Lack of physical activity is a poison for the heart. When the body does not move, circulation slows down, muscles weaken, metabolism becomes slow, and fat accumulation increases. This all weighs on the heart. And as if that were not enough, physical inactivity also contributes to increased body weight, another serious risk factor. A heart that carries more weight than it should always be on the edge. Now imagine this heart facing high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and still having to function with the energy of a standing body. He will give in. He will stop. And we need to talk about something that affects millions of people and is directly linked to all this: poor diet. Many seniors grow up with eating habits that we know today. Foods rich in sodium, saturated fat, sugar, and ultra-processed in general not only impair the functioning of the heart, but inflame the whole body. Chronic inflammation caused by this type of diet attacks the vessels, alters the pressure, deregulates hormones, and leaves the heart vulnerable. Eating badly is not just a matter of weight, it's a heart health issue. Each bad fork is a brick on the wall that can close around your heart. And in view of all this, one of the biggest mistakes made by the elderly, and by those who take care of them, is to avoid routine exams. For fear, out of shame, for laziness, for believing that if you seek, you think, many stop monitoring their own health. They do not do electrocardiogram, do not ask for echocardiogram, ignore the effort test, do not know how much cholesterol, blood glucose, or pressure is. And do you know what happens? Discover the problem when he has already become an emergency, when the heart is already very committed, when symptoms are no longer signs, but screams, when unfortunately it may be too late. What I want you to understand is that behind each symptom there is an explanation. Nothing happens by chance. The body speaks all the time, and when the heart is about to stop, it sends clear messages. But it is necessary to have sensitivity to listen, and, more importantly, the courage to act. Because ignoring does not solve, avoid does not protect. Pretending that everything is okay does not change the fact that with each passing day without care, the risk increases. And I want you to tell me, do you identify with any of these risk factors? Does anyone in your family live with hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, or physical inactivity? Have you heard that excuse? I don't like going to the doctor? If so, comment below. You can write, I need to take more care of my health, or I will mark my exams, or even, I identified with it. Your comment shows me that this message is coming where you need it. And more than that, it helps other people to become aware as well. Now that you know what is behind those silent symptoms, which often go unnoticed, it's time to understand the most important thing: what to do from now on. Because it is no use recognizing the signs that the heart is failing if you do not take any attitude to change it. And the truth is that, even in the face of a difficult diagnosis, even with a history of hypertension, diabetes, or high cholesterol, there is always something that can be done to improve heart health. Always. It doesn't matter if you are 50, 60, 70, or up to 80 years. The human organism is incredible in its capacity for regeneration, adaptation, and response to the right care. But he needs your help. And this help begins with the simplest of steps: deciding to take care of yourself. The first concrete step is to look for a cardiologist. But it's not just setting the appointment, it's really to attend, take it seriously, to answer all the doubts. Many people avoid the doctor for fear of diagnosis, as if ignoring was synonymous with protection. But the real fear should be to discover too late. Because when you act early, the treatment is simpler, the results are faster, and the chance of living with quality of life is infinitely greater. An appointment can are much more than you imagine. The doctor will analyze your symptoms, your family history, measure your pressure, ask for complementary examinations, and, based on this, outline a specific plan for your case. And that's where the exams come in. If you are over 50, do an electrocardiogram, ECG, and an echocardiogram is not luxury, it is necessity. These tests are fundamental to see how the rhythm of your heart is, if there are signs of heart failure, whether there are changes in valves, heart walls, or beats. They are fast, safe, non-invasive, and, in many places, available by the public health system. With these results in hand, the cardiologist can identify problems that often have not even begun to cause symptoms. And that's the key: act before the problem appears. In addition to the exams, one of the most urgent adjustments is in food. What you eat today builds what your health will be tomorrow. And here is a direct warning: excess sodium is one of the main villains of heart health. Excessive salt retains liquids, raises blood pressure, and overloads the kidneys and hearts. Processed foods, sausages, ready seasonings, industrialized sauces, all is loaded with hidden salt. Reducing salt is not just a suggestion, it is an act of self-preservation. Changing these foods for natural nutrient and antioxidant versions is a simple way to relieve the load on the heart. And we must not forget the bad fats, which clog arteries, inflame the body, and unbalance all metabolism. The exchange of fried foods, fast foods, and industrialized products for lighter cooked, baked, and natural options may seem simple, but it has a direct impact on blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and heart performance. A plate with fresh vegetables, brown rice, lean protein, and natural spices can do more for your heart than any medicine, if done with consistency. Another habit that needs to immediately enter your routine, if not yet, is regular physical activity. No need to start running marathon, nor lifting weight at the gym. What your heart needs is movement, circulation, stimulus. A 30-minute light walk a day is enough to improve body oxygenation, strengthen the cardiac muscle, reduce blood pressure, control blood glucose, and decrease stress. And here's a tip: don't expect to feel like it. Start even unintentionally, because well-being comes later, and soon it becomes a habit. Walking, besides helping the heart, improves mood, increases self-esteem, and gives that feeling that you are in control of your own life. Controlling pre-existing diseases is also essential. It is no use taking the remedy of pressure when you feel headache. You have to take every day at the right time. Similarly, diabetes and cholesterol medications need to be used according to medical advice, with discipline and awareness. Take the right medicine, but keep eating badly and leading a sedentary life. It's like trying to put out a fire by throwing a glass of water. Control only happens when you combine medication, balanced food, physical activity, and medical follow-up. And here is something that few people say, but it makes all the difference. The emotional influences directly on the heart. Chronic stress, anxiety, loneliness, fear of aging, all alters hormone production and puts the body on alert. And a constant warning body charges a high price of the heart. Therefore, seek moments of peace, connection with dear people, spirituality, meditation, gratitude. All this is also cardiac care. A quiet heart is a heart that lives more. I know it may seem a lot. That changing habits after a whole lifetime of wrong routine seems difficult, but it is not about changing everything at once. It's about starting. One step a day, one fewer food, a remedy at the right time, a 10-minute walk, a more water glass, a night of sleep well slept, a commitment to your own health. Your heart can continue to hit hard until 90, 95 years old, but he needs help, and this help is in your hands. And now more than ever, I want to know about you. Which of these changes do you feel you need to do more urgently? Comment here below. You can write, "I will change my food," or "I will mark my cardiologist," or "I will start walking." The important thing is to record your commitment to your own health. Your comment can inspire other people who are going through the same moment. If you stayed with me here, it shows that you really care about your health, or the health of someone you love. And so, I want to really thank you. But now is the time to take the next step. Subscribe to the channel right now, because here you will find content that can make all the difference in your life. Videos like this, right to the point, with clear and useful information about heart health, disease prevention in old age, and body and mind care. And if you arrived until the end, do the following. Comment here below the phrase, "My heart deserves careful." This will show me that you have followed everything, that you are committed to your health, and will still help this video reach more people. Your comment is much more important than you think. And of course, leave your like right now, because it helps YouTube understand that this content is relevant and needs to be recommended for more people. And it doesn't leave the video yet, no. Already click on the next video that is appearing here on the screen, because there I will show you simple habits that strengthen the heart and can avoid serious problems in the future. So let's keep taking care of your health. I hope you're there.